Hi there, everyone. My name is Ethan Duvall. This presentation is for the Virginia Tech class CS 5590, Systems and Software Security. Today, I'll be giving a presentation on the paper titled Overcoming an Untrusted Computing Base, Detecting and Removing Malicious Hardware Automatically, that was written by Professor Matthew Hicks and a few other esteemed researchers. This paper addresses one of the most pressing concerns in cybersecurity: how to detect and neutralize malicious circuits embedded within modern hardware systems. Let's start by setting the stage and understanding why we need to be concerned about hidden malicious hardware components. I'm going to give an example here. Let's imagine you're inside the control room of a spaceship or a space station. Think Millennium Falcon, USS Enterprise, or even just the plain old ISS. Everything is automated, and you have complete trust in the technology until suddenly it turns against you. The airlocks fail, life support systems shut down, and chaos erupts. It's scary and feels like complete science fiction, right? But it's not. Malicious hardware is real, and it doesn't need to be on a space station. It can be on your smartphone, your car, or even the data centers that power your favorite apps. In fact, this type of attack, known as a hardware Trojan, has been linked to major security incidents, including the infamous Supermicro case, where US companies were targeted through tampered hardware. These threats lie dormant, hidden from traditional defenses, waiting to activate when least expected. This is the challenge we face today. Hardware you trust can be secretly working against you, but how can we detect these hidden threats before they cause damage? That's what today's presentation is all about. To understand this threat better, let's break it down into a few key points. First, hidden threats. These malicious circuits are embedded at the hardware design or manufacturing stage. They are specifically designed to remain dormant until triggered by specific conditions, making them incredibly difficult to identify during normal testing. Next, we have persistent attacks. Once these circuits are embedded, they don't go away with patches or updates. They bypass software-based defenses because the attack originates from the hardware itself, often making physical hardware replacement the only solution. Finally, real-world cases. Going back to one of the most well-known examples, the Supermicro supply chain attack, where tiny malicious chips were allegedly embedded on motherboards used in data centers worldwide. These chips allowed attackers to bypass security measures and potentially access sensitive data. This demonstrates how dangerous hidden hardware vulnerabilities can be when exploited. These hidden, persistent, and real threats are why researchers are racing to develop new methods of detecting and mitigating hardware-based attacks. This paper addresses a critical gap in hardware security. Its main goal is to explore an approach to detecting malicious circuits while keeping performance intact. Unlike traditional detection systems that often slow things down or flag too many false positives, this method seeks to strike a balance. Find the Trojan circuits, but don't disrupt the overall system. We will go through a two-phase approach that tackles threats during design time and runtime. The idea is to protect systems while keeping them functional and fast, something that's challenging but achievable through the methods proposed here. Think of it like a luxury car with advanced features. You want security enhancements without slowing down the car's performance. That's what this paper aims to achieve for hardware systems. Why do adversaries target hardware in the first place? There are several reasons. First, adversaries can include nation states, rogue designers, or malicious insiders. Their motivations are always quite diverse: geopolitical advantage, financial gain, or even corporate sabotage. For example, compromised hardware could be used to steal intellectual property or sensitive government data. One of the biggest risks is the supply chain itself, between design, manufacturing, distribution, and even the final product. There are numerous points where malicious circuits can be embedded and utilized. The longer and more global the supply chain, the harder it is to guarantee its integrity. Understanding these motives and risks is key to designing effective defense strategies. To understand why detecting malicious hardware is so difficult, we need to talk about the untrusted computing base, or UCB, part of this. The UCB includes the hardware components that a system depends on, but it's considered untrusted because if any part of it is compromised, it can bypass software defenses entirely. Unlike software vulnerabilities, fixing malicious hardware is like replacing a faulty organ in a body. It's expensive, complicated, and potentially life-threatening to the system's stability. Once embedded, these circuits bypass most software defenses and exploit vulnerabilities that we usually overlook. Imagine you have a highly secure house, but the foundation is made of loosely packed sand. No matter how many cameras or locks you install, the house will always be at risk of collapsing. The UCB is the foundation, and if it's compromised, the entire system falls with it. Now that we have seen how hardware Trojans can create persistent, real-world problems, we need to address the big question: how do we uncover threats that are designed to be invisible? This section focuses on why traditional methods fall short and how this paper aims to solve it. Despite advances in cybersecurity, hardware Trojans continue to slip through unnoticed. The reason lies in the limitations of traditional defenses. They weren't built to deal with threats buried in the hardware itself. So, what is exactly stopping them from working? Why haven't traditional defenses solved this problem? The main issue is that these defenses focus on software flaws, not hardware. Here are a few of the biggest challenges faced using traditional techniques to solve this problem. Firstly, it has been mostly software focused. Most verification methods target vulnerabilities in applications and software operating systems. Hardware is often overlooked and just considered safe, and it doesn't get the same level of scrutiny. Secondly, the sheer scale and complexity of circuits, having millions of gates and components in modern circuits, makes it impractical to test them all exhaustively, especially when the Trojans are designed to stay hidden. Lastly, the use of stealth tactics. These circuits don't activate during normal testing, and unless you're looking for it, there's a good chance that you will just never notice. Trojans often remain dormant until they receive a specific trigger, triggers that traditional testing methods are highly unlikely to catch. This is effectively like searching for a needle in a haystack, except the needle is invisible until it's too late and it's already pricking you in your finger. To address these challenges, we need a method that operates on a deeper level while being scalable and effective. In the simple scenario presented here, we walk through the process of how hardware Trojan is embedded into a device in the manufacturing design stage. After this, since the Trojan lies dormant, it often bypasses any verification, only to escalate its privileges right under your nose once certain criteria is met, and later wreak havoc on the system, causing devastating levels of damage. Just like in the case of the Supermicro supply chain compromise or the Stuxnet attack. Because I've given Supermicro some time, I feel it's only right to talk briefly about the Stuxnet attack. Stuxnet was a game changer. It wasn't just malware, it manipulated physical hardware, targeting centrifuges in Iran's nuclear facilities. This attack wasn't detected until it caused physical damage. The scariest part? It took years to uncover. Expanding on how these Trojans can accomplish these feats, we look into something we call footholds. These are starting points for system-level attacks. As mentioned earlier, they first embed themselves during hardware designs or firmware updates, wait for specific triggers, and finally escalate privileges and execute harmful operations. The paper looks into and utilizes three such footholds for testing. The supervisor transition. In this foothold, the Trojan hijacks the user to supervisor mode transition. Attackers gain complete access to the system resources. Next, the memory redirection. In this foothold, the Trojan redirects protected memory to malicious areas, enabling the Trojan to bypass access controls and rewrite sensitive data. And finally, in shadow mode, this foothold allows the Trojan to install unauthorized firmware updates, ensuring the malware persists even after reboots or resets. This brings us to the core of the issue. Hidden circuits are difficult to detect using conventional design and verification methods. Current approaches either fail to identify stealthy Trojans or cause unacceptable levels of system disruption. Therefore, we need a novel approach that combines scalable, accurate detection with minimal impact on system functionality. This is precisely what BlueChip aims to deliver. Now that we have discussed the problem and have a bit more of an understanding, let's dive into how we can detect and defend against these invisible threats effectively without our performance taking a serious hit. We will investigate BlueChip's two-phase approach that combines early detection and reactive recovery for comprehensive security. Imagine a detective who solves crimes before they even happen and stays on guard to neutralize anything that was missed. How do we achieve this level of foresight in hardware security, especially when threats are practically invisible until they strike? The key lies in a proactive and reactive approach. On one hand, we need the foresight to catch threats during the design phase before they can be embedded into crucial systems. On the other, we need constant vigilance during runtime, so even if something slips through the cracks, we can quickly detect and neutralize it. This dual approach mirrors the way that any security team would operate. They don't just rely on catching intruders during an attack, they prevent them from getting inside in the first place. But in hardware security, achieving this balance is far more nuanced and complex. On the next slide, we will introduce BlueChip, a system designed to do just that. It's built to detect threats before they take root and handle any hidden ones that emerge during operation. Let's get into how it works. BlueChip takes a comprehensive approach by detecting threats before they can embed themselves and acting as a safety net if something slips through. During design time detection, BlueChip analyzes circuits before deployment, flagging anomalies. But here's the key innovation. If something bypasses design time detection, BlueChip's runtime monitoring ensures that nothing remains hidden for long. Let's break down these two phases and see how they complement each other. Think of design time detection like inspecting a building before it's occupied. BlueChip scans for structural weaknesses, in this case, unused or suspicious circuits. But instead of disrupting the building process, it fine-tunes its results through iterative refinement, ensuring that only real threats are flagged. This minimizes false alarms and assists in speeding up development. Looking into more detail on how this phase works, I would like to introduce one of the key tools BlueChip utilizes during its design time detection phase, unused circuit identification, or UCI. Its job is to find unused or redundant circuit paths that could be exploited by hardware Trojans. Think of it like an investigator reviewing unused rooms in a building. If no one is supposed to be in those rooms, why are the lights on? UCI flags circuits that do not contribute to the expected output, helping us identify suspicious areas early. This process reduces likelihood of false positives by eliminating benign, unused components and narrowing down the focus to circuits that could potentially house threats. So, how exactly does the UCI work? First, it constructs a data flow graph of the circuit to map out connections between components. It then identifies gates and paths that do not contribute to the expected outputs. These circuits are flagged as potentially suspicious. But instead of stopping there, UCI refines these flagged results using design verification tests, cross-referencing whether any of these circuits show abnormal behaviors. The results are fed back into the refinement loop, improving detection accuracy and filtering out false positives over time. Runtime recovery is more like a fire alarm system in a building. Even if something wasn't detected during construction, the alarm will activate when danger arises. When BlueChip detects abnormal hardware behavior, During operation, it triggers software emulation, replacing the malicious circuit's function. This ensures normal performance without costly disruptions. Going back to the car analogy, imagine you're about to buy a brand new sports car and you want to test it before you purchase it and hit the road. You could take it for a quick spin around the block, but that wouldn't tell you much. Instead, you take it on different types of terrain, city streets, highways, canyon roads, to ensure it performs reliably in any situation. That is exactly what was done in the testing phase of Blue Chip. It's not just about detecting issues as mentioned before, it's about making sure the system remains smooth and high performing under real world workloads. To test Blue Chip's effectiveness, the researchers used a Leon 3 processor, a soft core processor often used in research and embedded systems. The Leon 3 is particularly useful for simulating real world conditions while providing flexibility for testing various scenarios. So, how did they evaluate Blue Chip's impact? They ran a variety of workloads like wget for network operations, make for compiling software, and JPEG for image processing. These covered different aspects of typical computing environments: networking, computing, and multimedia tasks. The results, as you can see, the runtime overhead for these tasks is extremely low. The bar chart shows normalized runtimes for key workloads under different attack scenarios, and the results demonstrate minimal software impact. Below this, you can see the hardware overheads. Even under stress from attacks like privilege escalation, memory redirection, and shadow mode, Blue Chip manages to impressively keep the hardware overhead to a minimum as well. This demonstrates Blue Chip's power. It can detect and neutralize hardware trojans without compromising system performance. Just like a nice car should handle any road you throw at it smoothly, Blue Chip ensures that security doesn't come at the cost of speed or reliability. You might be wondering, why does this all matter in practice? This is because real systems can't afford to slow down due to security measures. Whether it's a server in a data center or an embedded system on a critical device, maintaining performance while securing the foundation is non-negotiable. Blue Chip is a step forward in making this a reality. What makes Blue Chip truly effective is its ability to balance between proactive and reactive approaches. During design time, it detects and flags potential issues. During runtime, it monitors for any missed threats and acts as a safety net by neutralizing them using software emulation. One of the key advantages is iterative refinement, meaning Blue Chip can continuously improve its detection accuracy without causing performance lag. It's like training a search and rescue dog. Each search makes them better at finding what's hidden. On top of this, one of the ways that Blue Chip minimizes performance overheads is by only activating recovery methods when a real threat is detected. This ensures that systems remain fast and efficient under normal conditions. I wanted to go into a little more detail on how Blue Chip can achieve all of this without slowing down the system. To start, Blue Chip doesn't constantly scan every circuit. Doing so would be like having a security guard check every single door in a building every single second. Instead, it uses exception-based monitoring. The detection module stays in the background and only triggers when something unusual is detected. Secondly, Blue Chip optimizes detection through parallel operations. Instead of pausing the entire system to perform these checks, it runs them in parallel, analyzing anomalies without interrupting the core processes at all. Lastly, when a threat is detected, Blue Chip doesn't stop or shut down the system. It uses indirect emulation. This means it does not emulate the removed hardware directly, instead opting to emulate the effect of it, using simplified high-level version of the hardware. This neutralizes the malicious circuit's function entirely. Though only temporarily, it allows the system to continue operating smoothly. This is where some of the overhead comes from, as software emulation of a circuit is not as fast as using the circuit itself. This process mostly ensures that the system can keep running. This design ensures that our security isn't traded off for speed. Blue Chip mostly provides both. In conclusion here, protecting the hardware layer is critical because it forms the foundation of everything in computing. With Blue Chip, we have a scalable solution to shield the system from Trojan attacks while maintaining performance integrity, allowing us to stay ahead of attackers and build much more resilient systems. Let's take a moment to reflect on the limitations of Blue Chip. One of the first challenges lies in its limited testing scope. So far, Blue Chip has only been evaluated using workloads like wget for network requests, make for software compilation, and JPEG for image processing. While these are extremely important, they are just the beginning. Real-world systems, from autonomous vehicles to AI-driven platforms, will require expanded testing. Next, we have the architecture-specific challenge. Blue Chip has been optimized for Leon 3 processors, which are commonly used in research and embedded systems. However, applying it to more commercially used architectures like ARM and Intel will require further refinement. Lastly, scaling remains a concern. Imagine deploying Blue Chip across a network of IoT devices, data centers, or cloud servers. It introduces a level of complexity that current implementations haven't fully addressed. These limitations pave the way for improvements, which we will cover next. While Blue Chip already provides extremely powerful defenses, the road to improvement is full of exciting possibilities. First, expanding workload testing is essential to future generations. Currently, Blue Chip handles simple workloads, but imagine testing it against AI inference engines, streaming platforms, or real-time control systems. Think of it like training an all-round athlete for multiple sports, not just track and field. It ensures robust performance across a variety of scenarios. Next, Blue Chip should adapt a wider range of architectures, including ARM, Intel, RISC-V, and other multi-core systems. Different architectures present different challenges. What works for one may need to be optimized for another. This ensures Blue Chip can be deployed across the tech ecosystem without compatibility issues. And finally, the future of computing is distributed. Think IoT networks, cloud infrastructures, and edge computing. Blue Chip needs to handle distributed systems where devices continuously communicate across nodes. This requires enhancements to maintain the low overhead while providing centralized threat detection across multiple endpoints. The future of Blue Chip is extremely promising. By scaling to handle more diverse workloads, processors, and networked environments, it can serve as a comprehensive defense for the evolving world and of hardware security. Hardware is the bedrock of every digital system. If it's compromised, everything built on top, applications, networks, and even user trust falls with it. As we move into an era of smarter devices, AI systems, and interconnected infrastructure, this foundation will be tested. But with proactive measures like Blue Chip, we can ensure that it doesn't crack under the pressure. Thank you very much for your attention and taking the time to watch. I'd be happy to take any questions you have or discuss any aspects of the presentation further. Please just reach out to me at my email provided on the screen here. Thank you so much. Have a good day.